Good morning, Friday. I'm Gretchen Ho. It is the 9th day of May, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Habemus Papam, we have a Pope. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, a 69-year-old American from Chicago, has officially ascended to the papacy as Pope Leo XIV, the first American to hold the title in history. World reaction has been swift following the election of Cardinal Robert Prevost as the new leader of the Catholic Church. From governments to faithful followers, messages of support and hope have flooded in, welcoming this historic moment. And in other news, the campaign period for the 2025 midterm elections wraps up tomorrow. But who is leading the surveys just days before voters head to the polls? We'll dive into that later in the program.
Habemus Papam.
Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, we woke up to the news that we have a Pope, and it's Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, a 69-year-old American from Chicago, who has been elected as the 267th successor of Peter for the Roman Catholic Church. Here is the report.
The crowd at St. Peter's Basilica erupted in cheers on Thursday as white smoke billowed from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. This was the signal that the 133 cardinal electors had chosen the 267th leader of the Catholic Church.
Habemus Papam.
Shortly after, Cardinal Dominic Mamberti announced that Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost from the United States had been elected Pope. He took the name Pope Leo XIV. In his first appearance at the central balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Leo XIV called on the Church to build bridges, urging unity and peace in a world divided by conflict. He also paid tribute to his predecessor, the late Pope Francis. The new pontiff donned the traditional red cape of the papacy, a symbol Pope Francis had refrained from wearing during his election in 2013. Pope Leo XIV was elected on the second day of the conclave, which began on Wednesday, May 7.
Little known to the public but deeply respected in church circles, Pope Leo XIV's rise marks a new chapter for the Catholic Church. Here is a closer look at who the new pontiff is.
Congratulations.
Born in Chicago in 1955, Robert Francis Prevost is a member of the Augustinian Order, an international community known for its emphasis on humility and service. He holds a bachelor's degree from Villanova University in Philadelphia, a master's from the Catholic Theological Union in Chicago, and a doctorate in church law from Rome's Pontifical College of St. Thomas Aquinas. He entered the order in 1977 and was sent to Peru as a missionary in 1985, a country he would eventually call home. Prevost returned to the U.S. in 1999 to take on leadership of the Augustinian Order, and later moved to Rome to serve 2 6-year terms as its global head. Fluent in 5 languages, including Spanish, Italian, and French, he has traveled extensively as a leader of the Augustinian Order. In 2014, the late Pope Francis brought him back to Peru to serve as Archbishop of Chiclayo. The following year, Prevost became a Peruvian citizen. He worked closely with migrant communities, especially displaced Venezuelans, and built a reputation for his hands-on approach to ministry. In 2023, Pope Francis appointed him cardinal and named him head of the Vatican office tasked with selecting bishops, one of the Church's most crucial roles. And while he never sought the spotlight, those who know him describe a man guided by justice, community, and compassion. Now 69, he takes the name Leo XIV, signaling continuity and a commitment to Francis's vision. As he once said, "Our work is to enlarge the tent, to let everyone know they are welcome in the church." His life has been one of quiet service. Now, he steps into the most public role of all, as leader of the world's 1.4 billion Catholics.
From the balcony of St. Peter's Basilica, Pope Leo XIV delivered his first public message with the words, "Peace be with you." The Pope emphasized that true peace comes from God's eternal love, and he also thanked his predecessor, Pope Francis, and pledged to carry on the Church's mission of mercy, unity, and care for the poor. Quoting St. Augustine, he affirmed his desire for a church that is open, loving, and in dialogue with all, especially the marginalized. Pope Leo XIV also led a prayer to the Blessed Virgin Mary, aligning with the traditional day of prayer to Our Lady of Pompeii. The newly elected Pope Leo XIV has already begun to shape expectations for his papacy with a choice rich in symbolism. By selecting Leo, the former Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost signaled a deep alignment with the Church's legacy of social justice, a mission closely associated with the late Pope Francis. The name evokes not just a spiritual heritage, but a firm commitment to addressing inequality and upholding the dignity of the poor and marginalized. The first pope to use the name Leo was Pope Leo I, also known as Saint Leo the Great, who served from 440 to 461 AD. He is renowned for asserting papal authority, shaping church doctrine, and persuading Attila the Hun to spare Rome. Meanwhile, American pilgrims at the Vatican expressed awe and joy following the historic election of Pope Leo XIV, the first American pontiff. A mother from America went to the Vatican with her 2 children just to witness the historic papal conclave. She says it is a blessing to witness such history unfolding in front of them and described the experience as the, quote, best of their lives.
We're shocked! We never expected an American president.
Among yourself.
Like, talk about history. Like, wow, what a blessing. What a blessing to be here. The best experience of our lives. Wow, like, God is just full of surprises.
Well, it is a historic day at hand, so don't go away. We'll be back with more when Morning Matters returns.
Habemus Papam.
Habemus Papam, that was the announcement made today as white smoke billowed out of the chimney of the Sistine Chapel. Let's get updates from our reporter on the ground. We have News 5's correspondent Mon Gualvez, who joins us live from the Vatican. Good news greeted us this morning. We finally have a pope. Talk to us, Mon, about that moment that white smoke came out of the chimney and us seeing the new Pope Leo XIV greet the world from the balcony of the St. Peter's Basilica.
Good morning, Gretchen. You know what? Even during the conclave or the process na habang nag-aantay nga tayo ng Santo Papa, the people waiting around or within the St. Peter's Square are really excited, happy, and in high spirit. Positive talaga yung energy dun sa ground. But then, when we saw this white smoke that billowed out from the chimney of the Sistine Chapel, mas dumoble yung saya at excitement ng mga tao. Tila the Vatican has stopped during that time dahil, to be honest, hindi talaga inaasahan yung paglabas ng smoke before 6 in the evening nung mga panahon na yung kahapon dito sa sa Vatican dahil nga kapag walang lumabas na smoke, technically mag-move na lang ng 7 o'clock. Pero bigla na lang may lumabas na smoke dito nga sa chimney, kaya yung mga tao, marami mga nagtakbuhan towards St. Peter's Basilica. Everyone wanted to go near the St. Peter's Basilica para nga makareceive ng blessing. At the same time, ma-witness personally, no, at makita ng malapitan kahit papano ito ngang bagong Santo Papa who happens to be Pope Leo XIV. So yung excitement, saka kahit nga umabot na ng madaling araw, ay talagang parang gising na gising pa ang lahat ho ng mga nandito halos sa lalo yung nasa St. Peter's Square dahil kanya-kanyang picture pa rin. And again, the description might be in high spirit pa ang mga tao dito sa Vatican after the announcement of the Pope.
Even if it's 2 a.m. in the morning there, you do seem very much alive. Of course, the world is widely awake with you. It was 12 a.m. Manila time here that the white smoke came out of the Sistine Chapel. Pero bukod sa surprise na yun, because that was the fourth ballot, what was the reaction to the Cardinal that came out? It was Robert Francis Prevost. He had been in the list of papabilis, but there were other more prominent names being tossed around. Ano ang sinasabi ng mga tao dyan tungkol sa nahalal na Santo Papa?
Yan yung pangalawang pinakainaabangan right after the white smoke, no? Na malaman kung sino yung Santo Papang na-elect dito nga sa ginawang conclave. At nung in-announce na yung kanyang pangalan, marami sa mga katabi ko, kasi ako yung nakapwesto, no, sa mga taong naghihintay nga talaga ng announcement, halos lahat talaga yung mga nasa paligid ko nagtatanong, sino raw, kasi they don't have an idea, no, with the newest pope ng Catholic Church. And then yun nga, talagang they keep on asking, and some had their research pa, no, pero nawala kasi na signal that time, kaya talaga medyo nahirapan. So they are not expecting the Pope or Pope Leo XIV be the next pope or be the next leader of the Catholic Church, no. So one thing is for sure, they are hoping na talagang maging maayos ang leadership ng bagong Santo Papa towards the issues concerning the Catholic Church or facing itong mga issues na ito ng simbahan.
Well, these are moments fresh of that election of Robert Francis Prevost, and I guess you are one of the lucky ones to witness him coming out into the balcony to greet the whole world, and we will wait for your account for the rest of the day. In the meantime, maraming salamat muna, Mon Gualvez, for reporting to us live from the Vatican. We head on back to the Philippines. 2 Augustinian churches here in the country have shared photos of Pope Leo XIV during his visit to the country in the 2000s. In 2004, he visited the Augustinian friary in Mohon, Talisay City. He also celebrated Mass at the San Agustin Church in Intramuros, Manila during a global gathering of Augustinian leaders in 2010. The Augustinian province of Santo Niño de Cebu congratulated him on his election, calling it a historic moment for the order. Now, from the front of the St. Peter's Basilica, let's go to the Manila Cathedral, where we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos joining us live. Arles, kamusta naman ang mga tao dyan? Ano ang reaksyon nila dito sa balita na may bago na tayong Santo Papa?
Gretchen, magandang umaga at sa lahat ng ating mga kapatid na Katoliko, dahil ngayong araw nga, kanina madaling araw, ay nagkaroon na tayo ng bagong halal na Santo Papa. At sa misa, nakatatapos lamang dito sa Manila Cathedral. Pinangunahan ito ni Father Vel Bautista, at ang kanyang unang mga tinuran para sa pag-welcome sa ating Santo Papa ay papuri at pasasalamat sa Diyos dahil meron na tayong bagong pastol para akayin tayo tungo sa layunin ng simbahan.
Okay, marami bang tao dyan na pumunta para magpasalamat dahil sa balitang ito? At nakausap mo ba sila sa kanilang reaksyon dito sa first American Pope in history?
Yes, Gretchen, at napakasaya nila. Hindi man daw Pilipino ang naging sumunod na Santo Papa, sigurado naman daw sila na ito ang pinili ng Diyos upang akayin ang simbahang Katolika at higit sa lahat ay senyales daw ito ng isang matatag at buhay na pananampalataya ng mga Katoliko saan man sa mundo. Lalo pa na si Pope Leo XIV din ang kauna-unahang Santo Papa na nagmula sa Amerika.
Wala naman nagalit, Les, dahil hindi nanalo ang mga Pilipino. Kasi sa social media nakikita natin maraming mga malungkot naman, no? Siguro parang pagka nanonood ka ng mga laban abroad ng mga Pilipino.
Wala naman daw hard feelings, pero 'di ba, iba nga din daw sana dahil isa sa mga pinakamaingay na pangalan talaga nung magsisimula pa lamang ang conclave ay si Cardinal Tagle at ang dark horse nga na si Pablo Virgilio David. Ang mga cardinal natin ito ay akala natin sila na ang susunod na Santo Papa, isa sa kanila, pero wala naman daw hard feelings dahil andun pa rin tayo sa tunguhin ng simbahan na tayo ay magkaisa at pagbikisin ang iba't ibang mga paniniwala saan man sa mundo.
Alright, yan muna dyan sa Manila Cathedral dahil medyo maaga-aga pa. Marami pa tayong aasahan mula dyan at magandang umaga sa iyo. Magandang balita para sa buong mundo at meron na tayong muling Santo Papa. Thank you so much for the updates from the Manila Cathedral. We have a mobile journalist, Arles de los Santos. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more right after a short break.
Habemus Papam.
Good morning, I'm Gretchen Ho, and here at Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. In the wake of the election of Cardinal Robert Prevost as the new leader of the Catholic Church, the world has responded with messages of support and optimism. U.S. President Donald Trump called it a great honor for the United States and expressed anticipation for a meaningful moment when he meets the new Pope. Former U.S. President Barack Obama also sent his greeting and offered prayers for Pope Leo XIV as he takes on the sacred responsibility of guiding the Catholic Church. Former U.S. President George W. Bush joined others in offering prayers for the new pontiff's success, especially in his service to the neediest and his mission to share God's love. In Italy, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni extended her congratulations, emphasizing that Italians will look to Pope Leo XIV as a guide and a moral authority. Meantime, Colombian President Gustavo Petro took a moment to remind the world that Pope Leo XIV, though American, has deep roots in Latin America. Petro expressed hopes that the new pontiff will be a strong advocate for migrants, particularly in light of the challenges they face in the United States. For Jesuit priest and writer Father James Martin, the election of Pope Leo XIV is a brilliant choice. He described the new pontiff as a man of many virtues, among them kindness, humility, and decisiveness. Now, to provide insights on these developments in the Catholic Church, we are joined by Father Earl Tan, a student priest at the Pontificio Collegio Filipino in Rome, and Father Derek Vergara. Good morning, Fathers. Welcome to Morning Matters. It is a historic day. We finally have a Pope. Talk to us about where you were at that moment, and did the face that came out surprise you? Let's begin with Father Earl.
Good morning, Gretchen. Habemus Papam, no? Nagliliwanag ka rin dyan. And, masayang-masaya, no? Kahit 2 a.m. na dito, sobrang saya. Bago lumabas yung usok, very significant yung seagull. Siguro nakita rin yun ni Father Derek, no? Na yung nanay, pinapakain niya yung anak niya, and very significant yun kasi yung sabi ni Jesus na feed my lambs, no? So nakakaiyak, very privileged to be here to witness this event, and talagang wow, no? Mapapawaw ka na lang kasi lahat kayo iba-iba yung iba-iba yung mga sinasabi, sana ito, sana ganyan, pero nung lumabas yung bagong Pope, Wow, ito na si Peter. Ito na yung successor ni Peter. Ito na yung bago nating Pope. Salamat sa Diyos.
Father Derek, ikaw naman nasaan ka nun? At inasahan mo ba na sa fourth ballot ay lalabas yung white smoke?
Hello, good morning Miss Gretchen at sa inyo pong lahat na nanonood at nakikinig po ng inyong programa. At katulad po ni Father Earl, ako po ay nandun din po sa may halos harapan po, first quadrant po ng St. Peter's Square at kasama ko po doon si Miss Cheryl Cosim, no? At yung iba pong mga mananampalataya na nag-aabang talaga doon. And sa akin po ay talagang nakakakilabot yung experience na yun kanina dahil una, no, sabi ko nga ay we are witnessing a history sa simbahan. So imagine sa St. Peter's Square pinatay si Peter. Doon sinubukan tapusin yung Christianity. And it was on the same spot that we are rejoicing right now kasi yung successor ni Peter ay patuloy, no, nagpapatuloy yung kanyang mission because Jesus Christ has entrusted him with the special mission of confirming the faith of his brethren and feeding the sheep of Jesus Christ. Kaya talagang iba yung pakiramdam ko doon. And joyful kasi dahil isang buong pamilya kami doon kanina, no? Pilipino, Amerikano, Espanyol, Argentinian, isang buong Catholic family ang nandoon. Kaya ang saya talaga ng lahat ng tao na pumunta doon kasi we belong to a one big family, one big Catholic family. And at last, no, sabi nga yung Habemus Papam, at last we have a Pope. At last we have a new Holy Father.
Well, sabi nga ng kaibigan natin na si Father Coke Prieto, God is a God of surprises. An American Pope for the first time in history, many discounted that because pundits were saying that they don't want the superpowers to even have more power, and they want to distribute that power to other regions in the world. What does this election tell us about where the church is headed? Bakit sa tingin niyo pinili ang isang Amerikano na mamuno dito sa simbahan na?
Siguro una yung kasabihan na yon, looking at the logistical problem, dati barko yung ginagamit ng mga cardinal from the US. So, it's impossible. Minsan hindi talaga sila umaabot sa conclave, ano? Yung isang pangalawang bagay, posible, yung mga cardinals, they have seen something in him during the pre-conclave meetings and even before that, no? Yes, he was born in Chicago. He is an American, but we should also consider he's a religious. No? He'd been in mission for a long time, and with his extensive experience being part of the dicastery, member of different dicasteries for evangelization, he's a canon lawyer, legislative text, pontifical commission for the Vatican city-state. Well, they must have seen something good in him, and well, God wanted it to happen.
Well, the position of Cardinal Prevost is actually very strategic in a sense, not that it was placed there, no? Pero he is the head of the dicastery for bishops that appoints bishops, selects and appoints bishops from different parts of the world. I'm not sure if it extends to the appointment of cardinals, but in a sense, may familiarity, may pagkakakilala sa kanya dito sa mga cardinals, ano. Pero ang dami kasing mga pangalan na babanggit. There's Parolin, there's Erdo, there's Pizzabala, Cardinal Tagle, Zuppi, there's Grec, and then there's Prevost. What could have made the difference here? Father Derek, anong sa inyong paningin?
Well, una, no, pinatutunayan lang na talagang hindi totoo yung mga papabili, no, na nagsisirculate, no, ever since talaga. We cannot rely on the concept of papabili dahil ito ay konsepto ng mundo, no, very far from the concept of the church, because the concept sa atin is not to candidate yourself, no, to make yourself a candidate, but every position in the church is a ministry, no? Kaya para sa akin ito nga yung pagpili kay Cardinal kay Pope Leo the 14th ay hindi dahil siya ay Amerikano, but because in his person, no, nakita ng mga kardinal ano yung mga kakayahan niya na gawin, especially nung siya ay prefect ng dicastery for the bishop. So siya ang sabihin natin na key man, no, key person sa pag-appoint ng mga bishops all throughout the world. So ibig sabihin alam niya siguro, no, hindi ko alam kung ito yung nasa isip ng mga cardinal electors, no, baka iniisip nila mas alam ni Cardinal Prevost yung pangangailangan ng mga local churches kasi siya yung namimili ng mga ilalagay doon, and nilalagay niya yung mga tamang tao doon sa na naayon sa pangangailangan ng mga dioceses all over the world.
And speaking of being a missionary, he did spend many years in Peru. He was the bishop of Chiclayo. He knew how to, of course, speak Spanish well, having spent a lot of time there. Let's talk about his first moments as Pope. What for you were the most significant, Father Earl?
Well, surprisingly, yung aura niya, no? Yung aura niya na very light, parang medyo teary-eyed yung itsura. And of course, his name, Leo, no? Dahil nasa Easter pa tayo ngayon, yung Leo ay isa yan sa mga noble titles ni Jesus as the risen one, yung natawag natin, the Lion of Judah has triumphed, no? Reminds us of Leo the Great, siyempre, the great Pope Leo na nung ang Rome i-attack ni Attila the Hun, he was just carrying his cross and begging him to spare Rome and its people, no? So, and his words, peace be with you, no? Yung pag-echo noon with the problems that the world is facing, the crisis on peace na dahil sa gera sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. And it brings us hope that evil will not prevail in our time. Evil will never prevail because Jesus is risen.
And I wanted to talk about his being from different nationalities. He was born in Chicago, Illinois, spent time in Peru, became a Peruvian citizen. But he also has a French and Italian lineage in his parents, and meron din siyang Spanish blood. Yung paggamit naman niya ng lengguwahe, siya ay nagsalita sa Latin, sa Spanish, at saka sa Italian, no? Pero hindi niya ginamit ang lengguwaheng Ingles. What does that tell us, you think? Father Derek?
I think, no, he's making a statement, no, by not using the American language, no. But ito ay personal na opinion ko lang, no. And una, yung language na Italian because he is the Bishop of Rome, no. Una yon dahil siya ay ang mga flock niya ay Italian, so mostly ay Italian speaking, so understandable yon. And pangalawa, yung Spanish because I think being a missionary to Peru, no, ay ginamit niya yon na by choice dahil mahalaga sa puso niya itong diocese na kanyang pinaglingkuran sa Peru. So I think he's making a statement that I no longer belong to any country, but my home now, no, is here in Rome, here in Vatican City.
Father Earl, do you agree that there is or there was a deliberate effort to stay away from the superpower that is America, to not close himself as an American? Ano sa inyong palagay?
Well, I guess yung pagiging missionary niya, no, yung his love, no, for the people of Peru, being a missionary, it's a statement, a continuity of what Pope Francis have started, no, to really build bridges, and siguro yung very humbling, no, to address his flock before. Now he's the Bishop of Rome. Before he was a bishop in Peru with many challenges, and very missionary yung kailangang approach mo doon. Parang it's like going back to his humble beginnings. as a pastor, being there assigned in Latin America.
Let's talk about his attire. He came out in the traditional white cassock, red mozeta, and white skull cap, along with the gold cross necklace and fisherman's ring. What does that tell us, do you think, Father Earl?
Well, like like uh like Peter, no, in the Gospel of John, sabi ni Jesus, darating ang panahon, isusuot sa iyo ang mga bagay na kung noon ginagawa mo yung gusto mo, ngayon hindi mo na magagawa, isusuot sa iyo, susuotan ka ng damit, and very symbolic, no, yung mga bagay na yan. Of course, the cross, every bishop has his cross, and if ever adorned man yan or simple cross, it's a symbol of glory, no, by Jesus dying on the cross. Yung red na moseta is very symbolic, no, kasi it's the willingness, no, of the Pope, being the successor of Peter, being a disciple of Christ, to shed his blood, no, for Christ, for the faith, for the church, no. So yung mga bagay na yan, hindi na iba, no, sa simbahan, kasi well, we relate with the senses and with those little symbols, na ipapaliwanag natin at na-express natin yung ating pananampalataya.
Pero Padre, kung maalala mo, si Pope Francis ay lumabas, suot lamang yung white cassock, wala yung ibang mga vestments, no? And that was his symbol or his posturing that he was doing away with the pomp and pageantry. Does that mean to say that we expect the Church to be pulled back a little bit more into tradition? What do you think, Father Derek?
Miss Gretchen, I think yung ginamit o yung suot kanina ni Pope Leo XIV is we have to see it as part of the long history of tradition ng simbahan. And hindi yan pomp and pageantry lang na nilagay yung katulad ni Father Earl. Meron yang mga symbolism. So siguro hindi lang na-explain ng maayos. At buti nga in-explain ni Father Earl yung mga symbolism no. But it doesn't matter kasi yung suot, because kung titingnan ninyo, he has to be a dignified, no? Because the office is a dignified office, not because of itself, but because ito ay an office entrusted by Christ himself. So it is a dignity of a God-given dignity, no. So we have to present din naman ito ng may dignidad, no, through visible senses, katulad nga niyang damit na yan. But yun nga, ibig sabihin ay it must not end there, no. It must be translated into actions, and we will see that kapag nag-start or sa mga susunod na araw ng pontificate ni Pope Leo XIV.
But the gestures of Pope Francis removing the other vestments was actually seen or widely accepted as some sort of being with the people, of being less inward looking and being more outward, walking with the people. But this one, the in keeping with tradition by Pope Leo XIV, does that mean to say that we expect a more conservative leadership from him? Anong tingin mo, Father Earl?
Well, I guess it's a balance, no. Kung naalala natin yung sinabi kanina ni Pope Leo XIV, let us keep in our ears the weak, but always brave voice of Pope Francis, who blessed Rome, the Pope who blessed Rome and the world that day on the morning of Easter. Allow me to continue the same blessing. God loves us, all of us. Evil will not prevail. We are in the hands of God, without fear, united, hand in hand with God. Sabi, tas kinote niya si Augustine, his father being a member of an OSA, no? Sabi niya, like Augustine, with you I am a Christian, for you I am your bishop. No? So I guess he's striking more of a balance, kasi well, kung nako-quote natin ang simbahan na divided sa mga traditionalist, conservative, at saka sa mga progressive, well, a pope is a person who builds bridges. No, so you're not just building bridges with the progressive. but you're also building bridges with different kinds of people within the church. No? So beyond what you see externally, let's also listen to his words na very welcoming. Sabi niya, like in St. Peter's, embracing everyone. No? So ang ganda nun, hindi lang sa nakikita natin, pero dun sa sinasabi din niya, we can see a combination of this hermeneutics of continuity. And hindi lang siya successor ni Francis, hindi lang siya successor ni John Paul II, successor siya ni Peter.
And to complete that, no, in his first message for the public, he said, we must seek together how to be a missionary church, a church that builds bridges and dialogue, always open to receive people like this square with open arms. Everyone, all those who need our charity, our presence, dialogue, and love. It kind of reminds me of the message of Cardinal Re in that mass prior to the conclave. Does the decision, with this decision to elect the first American Pope, what can we expect moving forward to be addressed? I know this is a long conversation, but in the time that we have, ano ang aasahan natin, lalong-lalo na in the midst of global conflict, in the midst of in America, we have President Donald Trump, and also his view sa mga nababasa ninyo on relevant issues such as gender, such as climate change, and even sexual abuse within the church. Father Derek.
Well, katulad ng ini-imply ng pangalan na Leon, no, which came from the Latin word na lion, no, leon, no. It implies bravery and strength, no. And katulad ng kanyang mga predecessors na hinarap talaga yung mga matitinding pagsubok or dagok, pressing issues during those times. Etong si Pope Leo XIV ay ganun din yung kanyang gagawin ngayon siguro. And una nga dyan, yung peace, no, sa buong mundo, yan yung one of the pressing issues. Pangalawa ay yung ating mga migrants, no, isa din yan. Tapos yung continuity ng synodality sa simbahan, katulad sinabi niya, we walk together, but walking together, we have to be missionaries also. Kung si Pope Francis ay welcoming church, pinauwi niya tayo lahat. Ngayon naman siguro ang magiging mission natin, after nating makauwi, we have to be sent out, no, to be missionaries to the whole world. And with this, no, we take cue na ito yung gagawin ni Pope Leo XIV sa kanyang pontificate.
Father Earl?
And kasama na rin doon yung addressing the issues, of course, continuing issues within sa loob ng simbahan.
Father Earl?
Okay, so simply being faithful to the gospel, no? Yung mga temporal concerns natin, patuloy na gagawin niya ng simbahan sa paghanap natin ng kabuluhan sa buhay sa nagbabagong panahon. Pero pinaganda yung pinaalala rin niya, no? Papunta tayo dun sa tunay nating tahanan, papuntang langit. So sa kaganapan ng buhay natin, i-address natin lahat yan with the gospel, with the word of God, no, being revealed to us, kung anong sinasabi sa atin ng Diyos sa nagbabagong panahong ito. Sa gitna ng mga hamon, yan, pagpapatuloy tayo, we'll move forward to what has been started 2,000 years ago at hanggang ngayon.
Well, as you mentioned, the name that he chose speaks a lot. Leo in Greek, it is lion. So he will hopefully show the strength of a lion, but have ears that listen to a world that needs more bridges and healing at this time. There will be a Mass at the Sistine Chapel with cardinals later on today. That will be at 11 in the morning. And on Monday, May 12, kasunod na kasabay ng ating halalan, meron ding pagtitipo, no? So we'll get to know more about what will happen at the Vatican. But in the meantime, we celebrate and we pray with you, and we hope that this leads us to a more united world. Maraming salamat, Father Earl Tan and Father Derek Vergara, for joining us from the Vatican.
Salamat po sa inyo.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back right after a short break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Vice President Sara Duterte led the kickoff of PDP Laban and their meeting de avance in Manila yesterday. During the event, she endorsed one by one the senatorial slate of PDP dubbed as Duterten. She also took shots at President Bongbong Marcos, accusing him of lying about rice prices and avoiding a public drug test. Now, despite her criticisms, she said she will still vote for Marcos' sister, Senator Amy, who she praised for investigating alleged abductions. Her sister Kitty also spoke in support of their father, former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is currently detained by the International Criminal Court. Senator Bongo and Representative Erwin Tulfo were statistically tied in Octa Research final pre-election Senate survey. Go garnered 56.8% support, while Tulfo received 52.7%. Former Senator Tito Soto ranked 3rd to 8th, followed by Senator Ronald De La Rosa in the 3rd to 9th range. Ben Tulfo and Senators Pia Cayetano and Bong Revilla placed within 3rd to 10th. Makati Mayor Abby Binay ranked 3rd to 11th, with Senator Lito Lapid in 4th to 13th. Former Senator Ping Lacson, Las Piñas Representative Camille Villar, Bam Aquino, and Willie Revillame were also part of the so-called Magic 12. Now, rounding out the list were former Senator Manny Pacquiao, Senator Amy Marcos, Benhur Abalos, Sagip Party List Representative Rodante Marcoleta, and former Senator Kiko Panghilinan. Now, to elaborate further on the survey, we have Octa Research Fellow Dr. Guido David via Zoom. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Good morning, Gretchen, and to our viewers and listeners.
Now, taking a look at this final pre-election survey, the red line was under that name, the last name that I mentioned, Kiko Panghilinan. Itong listahan na ito ay, kung bibilangin mo, it is more than 15, I think. So, what does this tell us? I mean, bakit nandun yung linya sa ilalim ni Senator Kiko?
Yes, and that's a good question, Gretchen. I just want to highlight na this is different in character compared to sa 2022 elections for senator. In that one, the differences between the numbers of the candidates were significantly higher. And if we go back to the 2022 elections, yung final pre-election survey namin conducted just a few weeks before the election, we actually got 12 names to sa top 12 correct. Just a straight 12. Although the rankings differed, nobody predicted that Senator Robin would be number 1, and he was lower in our rankings, not even in the top 3. This time in this election, this is a closely contested election that we're seeing. Yung red line is actually all the way to number 18. And in fact, even number 19 and number 20, who are Senator Tol Tolentino and Philip Salvador, they're just 0.1 or 0.2 away from that red line. So ibig sabihin, dikit talaga yung laban eh. But unfortunately, as things will happen on May 12, only 12 names will be certified as senators. Which means, especially this numbers 10, 11, 12, there will be 3 names that will be chosen out of 11 from number 10 to 20. So and maybe even those who are below number 20, maybe they have dark horse potential. So you see, I liken this to like musical chairs. There are just 3 chairs, and there are 10, 11 people standing up, and then when the music stops, tatlo lang nakaupo, and the rest will be standing and without a Senate seat.
Well, so, Doctor, ibig sabihin yung 1 to 9, yan yung medyo sigurado na? Is that correct?
Well, okay. we can't proclaim election results before the election because people have to go out and vote, Gretchen.
That's
If
true,
nobody
that's true.
votes, if nobody votes, then nobody will win, right? Or
Pero marami
so
yun hanggang 18. So ang dami sobrang maglalaban for the last three slots, which is held by Ping Lacson, Camille Villar, and Bam Aquino, surprisingly, has made it to number 12 on your list. But there are strong candidates. So what do you think would make the difference in the next days?
well, and you're right. And just to mention, just to highlight, this was conducted April 20 to 24, so it's just a few weeks before the election. And pag titingnan natin yung percentage of choosing, for example, Ping Lacson has 34%, Camille Villar has 31.9%, and this red line, si Kiko Pangilinan has 26.3%. So Kiko Pangilinan is just 6% or less than 6% away from Camille Villar in the survey. Since your margin of error is 3%, that means he's statistically within the number of Camille Villar. And even Ipe Salvador Inga and Toltolino, 25%. It's just a hair away from that 6%. So technically, it could go either way. So what will be the difference makers in this election na dikit-dikit? Firstly, as we mentioned, people have to go out and vote. And then the second thing is yung fill-up rate sa mga surveys is only about mga 60%, 60 plus percent, 60 to 65% or so. This means that hindi na pupuno yung ballots. They don't fill 12 names. They fill 6, 7, 8 names lang. Some fill up less than 6 names. So that means if people fill up more, then the numbers can really change. I'm not asking people to. I mean, that's their option. That's their prerogative. They can. Pero in our democracy, we have the right to vote for 12 names, and choosing 12 names is our the way we exercise democracy. So one is yung fill up rate that's going to matter. Secondly, yung youth vote natin, historically, a lot of them don't actually go out and vote. The percentage of actually voting for younger voters is lower compared to the older voters. The older voters will tend to vote more likely to go out and vote. And then the other one is yung mga endorsements. And we are seeing endorsements now. There are local endorsements from local government officials, and this is huge. And there are religious endorsements from religious groups. And these are huge also kasi in a tight race na you're separated within 6%, if the religious vote is worth 2%, that already adds to your number. And if you have a local endorsement, which will, which could be a few million votes, that could be worth 5%, for example. And so suddenly, your 25% could be 30%, or your 26% could be 31%, and then you will be in the mix of things. So it's too close to call, especially for the ones who are number 9 and below. Pero I won't even say na guaranteed yung number 1 to 8. Right now, I'm seeing 5 names that I think are very likely to make it, and they're somewhere within the top 5 in this. Kasi aside from looking at our own survey, I also cross-checked this with other surveys from other organizations who are credible, and we sort of triangulate and get an estimate of who will be likely to make the top 12.
Well, anything that they can win over at this point will be a plus for them, especially with such a tight race. And probably that explains also the weird last-minute shifts in alliances. So I guess it also calls us to say that every vote counts, especially now. If you have a candidate that you want to be in that top 12, kailangan mong lumabas, bumoto, at siguraduhin na hindi nasasayang yung mga slots doon sa listahan mo. On a final note, your last message as we head on to Monday, what is, from your point of view, what is your message to our voters out there?
Yeah, of course. Encourage our viewers and the public to go out and vote and exercise our right to democracy. Remember, when we're voting, we're choosing our representatives, and these representatives will help or should help the country address the needs and problems of our country. And don't listen to just other people. I mean, do our own homework. Mag-research tayo about the candidates, about what they have done, about their platforms, what they could potentially do for our country, and choose your candidates wisely, so that yun nga, I mean, if we don't choose our candidates wisely, paano na tayo, our country. So we need candidates who will actually perform and do something for us. So yun. And let's all pray and hope for a fair and peaceful elections this coming Monday. Thank you, Gretchen.
All right, maraming salamat for explaining the latest or in the final pre-election survey for the midterms this Monday. Maraming salamat for your time. That was Octa Research Fellow Dr. Guido David. And talking about other surveys, ACT-CIS Representative Erwin Tulfo topped the final SWS senatorial survey for the May 12 elections. Re-electionist Senator Bongo followed closely with 43%, slipping from his previous top spot. Former Senate President Tito Soto climbed to third place with 37%, while re-electionist Senator Lito Lapid and veteran broadcaster Ben Tulfo tied at 34%. 8 members of the Alianza para sa Bagong Pilipinas are in the probable winning circle. The survey, commissioned by Strat-based group, was conducted nationwide from May 2 to 6 with 1,800 respondents. And before we make it, as you mentioned, today is a historic day. If there's one thing about Filipino internet culture, it is that we find humor in everything. And the election of the new Pope is no exception. Let's take a look at some of the memes Filipino users have posted online. One ex-user humorously imagined a viewing party for Filipino gays, drawing a comparison to the enthusiasm that fills the air during beauty pageant. The post was captioned, "Mga Pinoy, kapag si Cardinal Tagle ang lumabas sa balkonahe." Parang beauty pageant lang. Meantime, one shared a photo with a caption, "Hindi po dito mag-aabang," jokingly comparing it to the Sistine Chapel's chimney. A different user posted a phone alarm set for the moment smoke arises from the chapel, the true signal of a new pope being chosen. Another shared a collage comparing Archbishop Diego Ravelli's proclamation of Extra Omnes to actress Maha Salvador's famous line from a hit TV series where she shouted, "Labas." And I guess that's a good way to spend the days leading up to the choice of who will be the Holy See. And we do have that name already. That is Robert Francis Prevost, the first American Pope in history. More stories for you throughout the day on this historic moment for the Catholic Church. In the meantime, that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter and the weekend a lot happier. I'm Gretchen Ho. We are One News, all sides, all the time.